So it's week 3, week 4 of January. Probably a lot of you are experiencing maybe the goals starting to slip. You're not getting out and going to the gym like you said you were going to. You've been sneaking some cookies that have been held over from New Year's. You've done something, maybe you haven't followed through on a business goal or a personal goal or a goal for your family, or at least maybe you did for the first couple weeks, but now that it's getting into January, you're starting to think, you know what? I don't really want to do that. That's not really what I wanted to do. Let's do something totally different, or worse, let's go back to where we were at before. That's probably the case. That's usually the case for me. So I want to talk about opposition for a second, because usually it's that opposition that creates that situation where we want to revert back into something that's too hard, it's too strenuous, and so we say, you know what, I'm done, I just want to go back to doing what I was doing before. So I've got some goals, like I'm sure everybody else does. I have some business goals specifically that I'm working on for this year. And to be honest with you, I've been an entrepreneur now for quite a few years, and I've started lots of different businesses, different ventures. Some have worked, some have failed, some have been a disastrous failure. And it's nothing really that new. I know the process, I know what it means, I know how to sell, I know all these different things. But for whatever reason, the things that I wanted to start this year, I've been experiencing just this heaviness, just this really odd experience that I usually don't ever go through, meaning that really a lack of confidence and a kind of grasping at straws as far as the message. And I've been really struggling with it, and frankly been a little bit down about it. And the other night, couldn't sleep. I was really restless. Just thinking I should just totally just throw it all away. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go down this road. And so I got up, did my morning routine, and I got out the door to go to my first coaching client to meet with him, and he canceled. So I had a few minutes in the morning that I didn't have anything scheduled on the calendar. So I decided that I was going to go for a walk up this great trail that's right up Cedar Canyon. And it's a fantastic little walk, and I especially like going on it in the winter because there's not a lot of people on it. The air is nice and crisp and cold, especially when it hasn't snowed for a while. The lane is quite clear. And so I decided to go on this little walk. So I'm walking along and mostly just feeling overwhelmed and down and depressed about all the things that I had convinced myself the previous night that I wasn't going to be able to do, or didn't have the strength to be able to pull off. And so I'm walking down this path, and I can't help but just notice the amazing beauty. The beautiful trees, the snow-covered trees. There was these really brilliantly colored birds. They were really bright blue that were kind of flying all around, doing whatever birds do. And it was just fantastic. I could hear the river flowing at the river bottoms, and there was nobody around. It was nice. It was early in the morning, and the air was cold and crisp. It was just a wonderful experience as I'm walking along, and I'm having this kind of emotional and mental feeling of feeling heavy, feeling weighted down. But I'm also on the other side of the pendulum feeling this amazing feeling of just satisfaction and optimism and confidence coming from the beauty that's all around me. So I get to the end of the trail and I turn around and I'm on my way back, and as I'm walking back, I see this smoke just pouring up from down below where the trail is. I couldn't see where the flames were coming from, but I could see all this smoke. And so I'm walking down wondering what's going on, and I could finally see the flames, and they were huge. It was just a big, huge bonfire. And obviously was a little concerned since I was on the trail kind of stuck in the middle of the canyon. But as I walked a little bit closer, I could see that there was another fire and another fire. And then I saw the fire truck and the firemen, and it was just a controlled burn. What they were doing is they were gathering all of the debris and kind of the old dead wood and all the things that needed to be burned, and they were burning it. And why were they doing that? They were making growth, or they were making space for the new growth that was going to happen for that next spring, and making sure that everything was beautiful and vibrant and all the things that it needs to be. And it hit me like a ton of bricks how important that opposition is, how important that burning process happens in order for there to be new growth. So the principle of today is the intensity of the opposition is in direct correlation with the intensity of your success. Now, I'm talking to you as a business person. I'm talking to you as an individual with goals, with desires, with aspirations, who may be experiencing some opposition, who may be experiencing those feelings of, you know what, maybe next year, or I'm not really good enough to do this thing, or I'm not really, shouldn't be confident enough in myself and my abilities or whatever, and I'm not going to do this thing. I'm talking to you if you're in that circumstance. The intensity of the opposition is in direct correlation with the intensity of your success. Now, this is not a new concept. As a matter of fact, the quote that I pulled from that really got some inspiration on this says, the more opposition, the better. Does a river acquire velocity unless there is resistance? The newer and better a thing is, the more opposition I will experience at the onset. It is the opposition which foretells the success. Where there is no opposition, there is no success. There is no success either. That was by Swami Vivekananda. I'm sure I'm butchering his name. In the 1800s, he was a Hindu monk. And this is a concept that has been around for a very long time. Opposition is in direct correlation with the success that you will have, especially the opposition you get at the onset. That, my friends, is the principle, the concept that if you can understand, if you can get inside your head that opposition you're feeling is in that direct correlation with that intensity of your success, then you'll find the success. Years ago, about 10 years ago, I was really into running. My wife and I were really into running. And we had made a goal to run the St. George Marathon. And we got some really good advice from somebody along the way who said that at some point in the race, you're gonna wanna quit. The road will be too hard, the sun will be too hot, your legs will be too achy, your back will have given out, your lungs are on fire. Something is going to happen that's going to make you want to quit. And so the best thing that you can do is make a plan for when that's going to come. When that opposition is going to be at its height, you need to be able to make a plan for how you're going to pull yourself through, not yield to the temptation of the opposition to quit, but actually carry forward to accomplish your goal. I'll never forget running along in the St. George Marathon about mile 18, maybe 19, I don't even remember, and my legs were hurting, and my lungs were on fire, and my back had given out, and the road felt too hard, and the sun was too hot, experiencing all of those things and wanting to quit. And what made it worse is they had a van with the van with the sliding door. They had the sliding door open, and they were going really slow by all of us tailing runners, saying, "Hey, you know what? If you want to give up, just jump in the van. We'll drive you down to the finish line." I don't think they realized how much of a challenge that was mentally to not jump in that van in the air conditioning and just be done, and to meet my family down at the bottom of the race at the finish line. The intensity of the opposition is in direct correlation with the intensity of your success. If you're feeling that feeling of, oh, I'm just done, you know that what's on the other side of that hill, that opposition hill, is fantastic success. Only you can drive yourself past that. If you're not feeling a lot of opposition, if you have a goal and it seems easy and it's no problem and you're just zipping right through it, likely the intensity of your success is not going to be very high either. But if you understand that the intensity of your opposition or the opposition that you are feeling is in direct correlation with the intensity of your success, my friends, you will be successful.